Thank you. Like, I wanted to start with a thank you for Uma for having set this up for us. And so it said I'll start with her in the screen and make sure my testing is working before I reveal my topic. Okay, let's get started. Move forward, right? Okay.
Yes.
So very great inspirational talk by Rukmini. I was able to relate to so many of those. And part of the thing which she said in the on the self review, and she's like, oh, our promotion, my manager would be the one who's helping promote, because a little bit of it is acknowledging for my hard work. And that's why the topic today is acknowledgement. And I'll start with a little questionnaire. Again, don't have a Minty, so I hope Fabi could do it for us and watch out the chat, because I'm not able to see the chat really well. I have two questions. Let's go with the first one first. How many of you love to get recognition from others, your peers and your leaders? If I can get a count, it'll be harder for me. Just +1 on chat. I will. Actually, I'm able to see the chat. I found a way to see the chat. Like just +1, +2. So everybody, 1000%, yes. So almost all of us. So I can freely say it's 100% of us who would like to who love it when we get recognition from our peers, from our leaders, from our stakeholders, and stuff like that. Now I'd love to hear the second question. How many of you feel like you would like to get more than what you're getting? Are you feeling that you're getting enough acknowledgement from everybody, from your peers? We'll love to get a little bit of a view count on that one. How many of you feel you're getting enough recognition? Or not getting enough? 2, not enough. Not enough. Yeah, so from others, right? I like, Susan, how you said it's not just, even when you're not working, you feel that's a gap, right? And so there's a study which says 50% of the people say they get less recognition, like they yearn more than what they get. Like 50% of the population. So 1 in every 2 feel they're getting less than the acknowledgement for their hard work, for all the work they're doing. And even Susan, not just your work, right? Others, we value others a lot. And what are others saying about me? Which is a problem. But I would say today's talk, as much as I said is acknowledgement, is not about changing others. I think today's talk is about realizing, let's focus on what we can control. We cannot control others. We don't control others. Changing the system, yes, I would like to change the system where all managers, all leaders, all peers can understand and internalize how much recognition is important. Find some little time in their day to give a little bit of a kudos. Yes, there are a lot of systems out there. I don't think it's easy for us to change the system because it's others. I can't control others. I know I'm repeating myself. It's just I want to remind ourselves, what do we control? We control self. And so I lied or did not reveal the real topic for today is not just acknowledgement. It's self-love. It's about self-acknowledgement. It is about ourselves that I want to focus on. It's our things we can control. And acknowledging where, and I know Namrata said this, even Rukmini acknowledged it, we are hard on ourselves. So I want to take today's thing of how do we transform that hard on ourselves and our cultural thinking to focus on self and acknowledge self and love self and give self-satisfaction and self-accomplishment and self-celebration. A few quotes on why it's important and why I not just me, others have said why it's more important. So I'm going to focus a little bit on self-love, which in some studies is even called a self-positivity bias. I had not even heard that term till I actually researched it. So I'm glad I figured it out. So it's all about a positive behavior for yourself. And there are lots of studies which you can, like, you know, even in universities, which says that how important is self-esteem, motivation, and determination. Like it brings a little bit of a, how should I say, getting better at your work and how you can realize you have more to yourself, and your work itself gets better. You don't have to wait for positivity from others. Again, I know I did not tee it up with Namrata, but I love it in the previous talk with Rukmini. She acknowledged that we were taught to be humble. So it's a little bit of a cultural thing. We are told that, oh, are we narcissistic, sorry, I can say this word, when we say that, oh, I'm great at this, and when you show self-love. But there are other side of the stories where we are telling ourselves in every walk of our life that self-care is important. Like, we think of ourselves as daughters, as sisters, as friends, as mothers. At some point, self-care is important, whether in work or outside of work. I'm going to focus more on at work, give you stories of at work, and give you ideas and techniques that I have used for self-love at work. But it applies outside of work, and we've heard at home front also. But again, I will leave this one slide with one idea. Self-love is not narcissistic. Self-love or self-positivity bias is be controlling ourselves and doing, like, value ourselves. We're doing a lot more and celebrate self-compassion. I'll leave it that one word on this slide, and then move into some ideas and some things that I have done. Okay, so this is the topic, but did I go too forward? 1 second. No, I don't know. What are you guys? Okay, you're looking at highlights of the week. Sorry, Zoom learning. So so the topic now is the, again, I did not intentionally make Rukmini do the slide sheets, but she said this, right? When you were doing self-review, I can relate to it. I'm proud that she had 2 pages of self-review. I had like 3 lines on my first self-review. Like, what am I self-reviewing? Somebody else has to tell me that I've done a good job. Somebody else has to evaluate. Why am I, like, if I tell myself I'm being egoistic, I'm being self-praising, like, if others find value, they will call it. And then a year goes by and I have only so much I could write. With time, I realized, as you grow in your career and in corporate world, you realize the others who you're looking to give you self-review, to give you a high review, are just too busy with their stuff. They don't, like, even just a simple, your own direct manager, they are so busy with the other stuff that they're not in your day-to-day. They will not, don't expect them to know where you were great at. And so as I figured, like, I need to tell them what I did, which means I have to self-evaluate myself, which means I have to be proud of myself. And there were your reviews, which was like about 3 years back. It was like, what am I writing? Like, what did I do? And my manager obviously didn't have much time to think about it. And they were like, you tell me what you were good at. You've grown enough, you've done enough, you've done enough reviews. You tell me what you were good at. And I took a step back and realized I couldn't write much. I didn't remember much. And so I got into this habit of every Friday, I block my calendar for an hour or so to write down what I achieved, because I couldn't remember. It's like I was going through my emails and I was like, this wasn't great, that wasn't great, this wasn't great, right? And so I realized I stopped doing that, and I forced myself to write down the highlight of the week. And I insist on the word highlight. And it's a habit we do with products, right? When we have to give any update, it's like, oh, this thing went really well, this program went really well, or this event went really well, and we tell others what the highlight is. Take that week to highlight for yourself. And I made that goal that for my one-on-one or for myself, and maybe I'm not having every week, but that log of mine helped me say, remember, one, and two, tell someone else. So it's in their mind every time, refreshing it in their mind and myself, because I can go back and look at the notes in future. And so highlight for yourself, remind them, and write it down and share it in your one-on-ones. I like, Susan, where you said sharing highlights can help them. So I love to hear, does anybody, again, I'll take a little bit of a chat time. If anybody has any tricks of how they, do they spend that week or month or whatever to self-reflect, to call the highlights or the happiness or what made them happy? Anybody has anything that they do? Love to see in the chat. If not, then you will. Then now you have to.
Well, what I usually do is that I keep notes, yeah, just like Susan is sharing on the chat. Keep notes, build a portfolio. I do it constantly. I don't wait. Like if I see that I have a highlight or an achievement, I put it on a note. Try to do that.
Nice. Very nice. Oh, I'm stealing from Uma's cheat sheet. Cool. The next one is.
She shared something, Dipti. Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
Dipti, she says, I write my wins in my journal, Uma's learnings. And Shashi, she says, when I get client appreciations, I put those all in a separate folder.
That's so cool. Yes. And I'm so proud that everyone has a way to remind yourselves of your happiness, to log your happinesses and proud moments. The next one. So this one was like just week over week, as work, like the previous one was week over week, and as work goes by. Find like we always say, think of your passion, think of what you enjoy the most. But that's longer running, North Star. And I realized that got too big for me. I was like, okay, I know where I want to go 2 or 3 years or whatever is my passion. But that sense of satisfaction, waiting for a year, 2 years was just too far out for me. So then I reflected and said, what activity makes me happy? What action makes me happy? Like tone it down a little bit, like take that North Star and break it into a smaller chunk. Like for me, what makes me happy is doing something that's impossible, doing something that is hard, doing something which gives back to somebody else. And what for me then I realized is I loved when I was able to get people promoted to their next level. And that was my happiness, which wasn't dependent on others. Somebody's coming and acknowledging me. And so I made sure that I looked forward to it or looked back to it, saying, okay, in the next quarter, am I getting somebody's promotion? In the next 6 months, am I getting? In the next 1 year, am I getting someone? That writing before and after gave me something to look forward to. So I said, oh, this person's promotion is coming. And then I plan ahead. And anytime I'm like, what am I doing next? I go back to that and say, oh, yeah, this person's promotion is coming. The other evaluation I got is if I am not having any promotion coming in the next year, which means, am I working in the right space? Because for my kind of experience, if I'm not promoting someone in the next 1 year in my team, it meant my team is not growing. I'm not in that complex space. So it did another thing. It helped a self-evaluation of, am I at the right space? I started with making myself happy, but it also made me realize that, am I in the right space, which is a side effect. So look back on what you enjoy and what you enjoy to do, whatever be it, if it's not coming in the next 1 year, either it gives you a chance to go to self-evaluate, are you in the right space? Are you missing a blind spot? Do you need to go talk to your manager on what you're looking for? So it gives you both. And then sometimes I also used it to look back, right? I'll admit, maybe I sound narcissistic, but I'll go back at an old promotion docs, like, how that did come out well, that did give that satisfaction. So I'll just celebrate it in future for something where I'm having this low moment. So I would love to hear if any one of you have figured out what gives you happiness in a smaller chunk, not your North Star, whatever is your North Star towards that, and then use that to look forward to and make sure you're keeping an eye out for it. I said promotions is one of my things. Anybody wants to call out any of their little I enjoy doing in my little world?
I love how you call promotions as little, Parna. That's yes, that's awesome.
Thank you. It's not as big, right? It's not the North Star. So, but I like how you're reminding me that how you're self-critical, even in my talk.
No, that's awesome.
Did anybody have anything to add?
Hi, Parna.
Hi.
So I mean, in one of the talk that I'm going to give tomorrow, I'm going to share one incident or something that Parna shared with me. So I mean, I just wanted to share with you all that I was having that self doubt on one of the program that I was asked to take up, something related to privacy, and just one small message from Parna, that we believe in you. That is why it was something which was given to you. It just made me smile, and a tear rolled out on my cheek at that day, and I really felt good. So, I mean, I worked with Parna, even though she was not my direct manager, but there have been times where Parna, where I would always look up to Parna, and and she would have a small get together of a couple of women leaders, even on Women's Day, a couple of times in the past. So I mean, she has always been a very motivating factor, and as I mentioned, like that small message from you made my day. And I was a new joinee at that time, and I hope you remember I'm talking about our favorite program, DMA, which ultimately turned out pretty good for me. But thank you for giving me that confidence on that day when I needed it, when I was actually doubting myself.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Exactly. Those kind of things, right? I like those that were my happy moments. As much as it brought a smile on you, it made me feel happy. And I was like, oh, this is a hard one, right? What am I enjoying? And so I'm glad you had that opportunity. You were looking forward to doing better and then keeping an eye out rather than North Star of your goal. So thank you, Vandana. Okay.
So hi, Aparna. Sorry, I was going to add. This is Dreedy.
Yeah.
And I know like we are talking about happiness, but there is something that I started practicing like recently, and I want to share it with the group. So yes, I do have a happiness journal also, where I like log what were the highlights of the day, whether it was work related or personal. But I do have a section for glimmer also. For me, the glimmer is like when things don't go really amazingly, but there is some positivity. I write them up, and they can be just as small as like, oh, the sun came out today and it made me smile, right? And but what I have noticed is that even those small positive things help us. Like when I go through them, they help me feel better. And like, it gives me hope that, okay, the day didn't go, or the week didn't go as expected, or I didn't achieve what I was trying to achieve, but that glimmer was still there. So it's an encouraging point. So I wanted to share that with the group.
I love that idea. Don't wait for the big moment. Thank you so much. Okay. I I said about the all happy highlights and stuff like that. But as Riti said, not everything is shiny. And there are some not so great moments. Even in that, we can show self-compassion and self-love. So I wanted to take a little bit of a slide of in how does self-love and self-compassion come in, even in the we feel we didn't do the right thing or made a mistake. Mistake is and we are, again, because we're self-hard on ourselves, a little bit of a quirk, and we're like, this didn't go well, right? Like we at least I used to think a lot about that and try to fix it and look for ways to do it. And then over time, I reminded myself that when it comes to any project or product or program for the team, we would say, failures are to learn from, let's learn from it, let's do something different. And I realized, why is it only about product, program, project, work? It is about me too. And then I started reminding myself that it's okay. I have to just take a learning and look at it as a progress forward. Even then, I felt it wasn't going the full mile of compassion. I wasn't I wasn't coming back to let's move on. And so what I did is I used the weekly highlights, or even as close as last week, right? I'll go back and look, what had I written as a happy moment? I go and revisit it, and there's a happy emotion that comes in, and then I come back to reality and really start thinking in a solution mode rather than a critique mode. And so those the highlights, whatever I'd written a week or month before, came in handy when things were not perfect. But I also wrote those not so happy, and after the happy feeling in myself, I make a note of what I learned from it and how I can change it. Again, write it down somewhere in another section, in another folder, in another journal. I visit those also to say, hey, I passed that one. I fixed that one. I'm past that one. So I can be past this one. So it again brings the I could do it, I can do it. So I look at both in the writing. And when I write, I make sure I write it only when I'm in a happy mood. So I can look at it in a solving mode, in like learning mode rather than critique mode. And so I do that too. And it has helped me a lot in the moving on and come back to reality and keep being doing good stuff after that moment on, even though it wasn't perfect.